Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's that time again. Welcome to the first edition of the new season of NFL Football Talk. I'm your host, Charles E. Smith, Jr. We'll be coming at you every week here as soon as the regular season begins. Right now, we're going to give you a little update and also be looking for the conference preview shows that we'll have coming up in the next few weeks. First off, let me go ahead and congratulate this season's the new Hall of Famers. Of course, we're talking about Junior Seau, Charles Haley, Will Shields, Tim Brown, Jerome the Bus Bettis, and also Mick Tingelhoff. That's a name from back there in the day. Some of you Minnesota Viking fans will remember him. Mick Tingelhoff on that offensive line of the Vikings, along with Ed White, Ron Yeri. Really tough back there. And also, as far as the front office, Ron Wolf and Bill Polian. But let's break things down here. Let me go ahead and bring in my esteemed colleague, none other than Mr. Chris Lardieri. Remember, follow him on Twitter at Chris L Sports. He's got some genuine, fantastic nuggets of wisdom out there. So what's happening there, Chris?
Genuine and fantastic. Outstanding. Yes. Thank you, Charles. It's great to be back. The summer definitely flew by. It's winding down. Everyone's getting down that the warm weather is coming to an end, but lo and behold, we have football to look forward to. So I'm actually getting excited for this time of the year. The sun may set a little sooner, but we're going to be doing a show every week, and life is good.
Yeah, that's true. You know, the sun starts setting a little bit sooner, but you know that Sundays are going to be spoken for. There's going to be no doubt as to what you're going to be doing. And the way that football, even though there's only 16 games in the regular season, but it's amazing just how much it flavors the entire week of when you're at work or whatever you're doing, and you know that Sunday is coming. You know that Sunday is coming. You know who's playing. You who play fantasy football, you're filling out this, that, and the other. But everybody's got a reason, and boy, oh boy, just for like no other sport, it flavors the entire week.
Definitely, and if you are a skeptic or cynical, I submit to you the fact that the NFL preseason games of the first full week was last week and last weekend got higher ratings than a lot of Major League Baseball playoff and regular season network games. So I don't know about you. I'll watch a little bit of the games after the first series of the first quarter. Once the starters leave, there's not a heck of a lot of reason to watch, but that says a lot because essentially it's a watered down product and people are still wanting to watch it.
Yeah. Well, it's actually beyond watered down. It's pretty much my practice squad against your practice squad, but still, people want to watch. That just shows how hungry they are. And the way that the Super Bowl is kind of bittersweet because that's kind of what you've been waiting for, but then you know after that crescendo, there's going to be kind of dark territory for all that time until we get some more football going. But, I'd have to say this offseason, not just the whole, Adrian Peterson is back, Greg Hardy's suspension down from 10 games to 4 games, but guys are blowing off their fingers now. JPP, Jason Pierre-Paul of the New York Giants, lost an index finger, and C.J. Wilson, cornerback for the Buccaneers, has now retired since losing 2 fingers in a fireworks accident, and he would have been a really feel-good story. Undrafted out of NC State, plays for the Bears in 2013, then goes to the Buccaneers, and then blows his fingers off. So instead of being a great inspirational tale, he becomes a cautionary tale instead. Undrafted, free agent, winds up getting a shot at the NFL and blows his fingers off lighting fireworks. I don't know. Is that bad luck, schlep rock, or what?
It's mere stupidity on both men's part. And you look at JPP, hadn't even signed his tender. Not only does he do it, and listen, Charles, look, I'm a full disclosure here. I was a teenager once. I played with fireworks. I did stupid things. Never did I ever let one light off in my hand, and I was a knucklehead kid in northern New Jersey, and I knew that. These are grown men with millions of dollars on the line. And on top of that, JPP continues to string this along. Mm-hmm. He hasn't reported to camp. He refused to let the Giants doctors look at his hand and consult on it. I don't get it. Guys are just completely knuckleheads, and just when you think you've heard it all with the domestic issues or child abuse allegations and issues with the NFL, we now have the fireworks issue. For a sport that's so popular, it has so many problems, it just boggles the mind.
Yeah, there you go. And speaking of problems, I really cannot believe, and we were talking about it in pre-production, but how in the world has Deflategate not been just ruled on yet? Why haven't they reached an agreement? For them, one thing, the initial suspension is only 4 games. I know that's 25% of a 16-game season, but still, it's 4 games. So you'd figure any type of negotiating or whatever, you're down to 2 games. And you'd think Brady would take that, but now he said he would accept a suspension of some sort as long as he does not have to admit any guilt. So I don't know about you, Chris, but what I'm seeing here is I think what they do, and the judges, everybody's fed up with it. So I think what we come down to is he settles on 2 games, and he does not have to admit any guilt. He just has to admit he did not, 2-game suspension for not cooperating fully with an investigation. And the NFL does not have to apologize to Robert Kraft, and it's all good when we play football. What do you think?
Yeah, and I like that, and I think it's really ridiculous that it's come 7 months now. We had to go to a federal court in New York to get to this stuff. We couldn't have just hashed it out in the sandbox and shared our toys. You know, I've kind of done I don't want to say I've done an about face. I do think if the allegations are true, Brady should be suspended, whether you like it or not.
Right.
That's cheating, tampering, whatever you call it, okay? The bottom line, though, is where Brady was a bozo, and we got 2 major bozos involved here, mind you, is he didn't turn over his cell phone. On the one hand, I can't blame him, but maybe his reps or his lawyer should have worked something out where he said, here are the text messages I sent to the 2 Patriots employees that were named in the allegations. Number 2, you've got Goodell making an example out of Brady, making an example out of the Patriots, dragging this out when just a year ago he slapped Ray Rice's hand and then all hell broke loose. And now he's going to make him the poster boy for discipline for a little bit of air, let out of balls in a game when the Patriots are going to kick the crap out of the Colts anyway. And that's a lot for me. You know, I'm not a Patriots fan. I'm a journalist on this show. But I really think it's gotten out of hand, and I think the other owners are getting fed up with it. And I'm going to go on record now and say Roger Goodell is a shrewd businessman. He knows how to milk every dollar out of this league. But I think some of the owners are going to get fed up with his steadfastness, his arrogance, and his lack of PR skills. And it's really, I'm not saying it's going to bring the league down, but it's going to get people impatient. And one theory I've heard thrown out there is maybe you separate the CEO duties, for lack of a better word. You have a business side and more of an ops or disciplinarian or whatever it is, because Roger Goodell cannot talk his way out of a paper bag, and he's botched this as well.
Yeah, that's true. And as we were talking about earlier before the show started, this is kind of like, it seemed like the NFL had him dead to rights, had Brady. Only thing, I think the worst thing that Brady got out of was that horrible courtroom sketch. I don't know if anyone saw that, but we'll go ahead and put that up for you to see. But I remember when the NCAA thought they had Johnny Manziel dead to rights. I mean, it was going to be the suspension or who knows what type of lightning bolts were going to come down from the NCAA. Turns out they can't prove anything, really. And just to kind of save face, they wind up suspending him for the first half of one game that his team was going to win anyways. So I think the NFL, and let's go ahead and say Goodell, backed himself into a corner where he kind of a little bit power hungry and was going to go ahead and just throw down on Brady. Brady stands up to it, and it turns out he really doesn't have anything. So now he's kind of in a pickle, and I think Goodell has to get this thing over with to just save his own credibility. You know, I know he probably, egos are involved here. He doesn't like the fact that Brady backed him into a corner and dared to challenge his authority the way that he did. But hey, at a certain point, you know, sometimes you just got to throw in the towel or just call it a day.
Absolutely, and you know, like taking it to the investment world, sometimes you just got to know when to cut your losses.
Right.
Or, you know, Charles, I'm going to make a little bit of a music gambling analogy. As the great Kenny Rogers said before he pulled his face back too far, got to know when to hold him and know when to fold him.
Yeah, you can't win every hand, right? You just win the overall. But this is one hand that Goodell lost. That's okay. He's still in control of the whole game, and he still makes millions of dollars a year. And, so it's best to just get it over with. And speaking of over with, let's go ahead and shift to the, let's stay in that area, but the New York Jets. How about your boy Geno Smith there, you know? I guess $600. He had a teammate front him for a plane ticket. He winds up not going because of a death. He winds up not going, but then we'll not reimburse the guy for that $600. They get into it in the locker room. Smith gets a little arrogant because that's really what everyone said. Nobody really came out in defense of Smith other than saying that violence is no way to solve the issue. But I think Smith really provoked this. And basically for not paying him $600, he got punched out, and he's out 6 to 10 weeks.
A complete mess. While I'm surprised, I'm not. But then again, typical Jets we've got going on here. That said, from what I've read, just pay the guy $600. Not only did he make up an excuse, whether it was valid or not, or someone died or got hurt, I still can't figure it out. But, I mean, he asked for the money. Not only did he blow him off, he was defiant, allegedly pointing finger. I mean, what do you expect? And then after the fact, for Todd Bowles, the new Jets head coach, poor guy walking into a mess already like this, to say essentially that both sides were at fault. I mean, I think Geno, no pun intended, is a dead man walking. We'll ride Ryan Fitzpatrick as far as they can.
Right.
The guy's on-field skills are questioned, and now clearly he's lost the locker room. So I think Jay Cutler might be liked more by his teammates. What do you think, Charles?
I think so. And then the guy who punched him out was Ike Enemkwali. And, of course, he punches him out. The Jets cut him, and right the day after, I think it was, the Bills pick him up. So, hey, you know, that's how that goes.
You know, I'll say this about Rex Ryan. They call it a PR move, but his guys, man, they will walk through fire for him. And then it turns out with a number of injuries, as I'm sure we'll hit on later, in training camp for the Bills, he may actually have a shot to start. So we're worked out on both the football and CRM for Rexy.
Yeah, that's true. And like I said, we're going to be doing the conference previews in the coming weeks, and also, you know, give us our Super Bowl picks and everything. But the reason why is because here we are, it's been 2 weeks into training camp, and the injuries already are just beginning to mount. Guys with, you know, sore hammies, that's, you know, Darren McFadden, sore hammy, Arian Foster with a groin problem, Kelvin Benjamin, who is going to be Cam Newton's primary target there in Carolina, out for the season, done with an ACL. LaShawn McCoy having hamstring problems. Terrell Pryor converted from quarterback to tight end wide receiver. He's having hamstring issues there and with the Browns. Now, we know it might not keep him out for the season, but it just doesn't take long. And I guess when they cut down on the amount of OTAs, wasn't that supposed to help the players? But, man, the rash of injuries we see, and this is just going back to last season, it was the same thing. Just ACLs, Achilles, hamstrings, quads, everything. Just as soon as these guys start going, it's snap, crackle, pop, and out.
Yeah, and I know that was the intent, and now the skeptic in me is starting to wonder, should these guys be practicing more? Maybe spread it out. Are they not ready because they've been dormant and not working out as much? I mean, I've heard the old-timers say this never happened in my day, and we had 2 days in the heat and so forth, and put spit on it, so forth. But, yeah, it's really becoming an issue. And you've got guys like the Giants lost 2 safeties in one preseason game in the first half. You know, it's every year it seems like there's more. And then on top of that, we've got the new phenomenon where 2 teams practice each other because of the limited practice schedules due to the new CBA. And what happens? Brawls break out left and right. So maybe you'll come out healthy. You won't pop your ACL, but you might get dinged in the face like Des Bryant did against the Rams up in Oxnard. So, yet again, we've got a interesting preseason, and not for the reasons we should.
Now we're going to go ahead and keep an eye on everything as the rest of the preseason games play out, and we'll be back in the coming weeks. Remember, catch us on YouTube or on Vimeo, whichever is your preferred platform there to watch. But, you know, the show is NFL Football Talk, Inside Sports Production, Charles E. Smith Jr. and Chris Lardieri. So, Chris, before we sign off, any final words? And as I said, nuggets of wisdom there for everyone out there?
Besides the fact that I want Deflategate to be over, one thing I have noticed, we're not seeing a ton of controversies with quarterbacks or starting positions for the most part. So in that respect, it's been a good preseason, you know, short of the Geno Smith creating a quarterback controversy with the Jets. But, you know, it's kind of been, other than that, when you think about the fireworks and Deflategate, it's been a fairly quiet month of August here. So I'm wondering, is this the calm before the storm, or are we going to have a quiet season? One other thing I've really been following closely is the rumors of a team going to L.A., the Chargers trying to work out their mess down in San Diego. The Raiders seemingly not having a home. I heard one Bay Area Raider saying maybe the NFL will compel the 49ers to let the Raiders share the stadium all out of Meadowlands in New Jersey. Hard to say, but I mean, I agree with you. We talked about this months ago. I think all signs point to the Rams going to Inglewood, and I think the Chargers thing is a big bluff. I don't think Carson's a viable option for either the Raiders or the Chargers, and I think the NFL only wants one stadium. So something I've been keeping my eye on, just because it's a local issue for us here in Southern California, but it's just really become not only an NFL story, but a business and political story worth keeping your eye on.
Yeah, it is amazing, and I want to see a shovel go into the ground out here somewhere. I don't care if the shovel's in Inglewood or the shovel's in Carson or the shovel is in, the City of Industry. I want to see a shovel go in the ground. I want to see ribbons cut, and I want to see some bulldozers. I want to see some action here, people.
I agree, and until I see that, I'll believe it when I see it.
Yep, absolutely. So remember, everybody, show us NFL Football Talk Inside Sports Production. I'm Charles E. Smith, Jr., and for Chris Lardieri, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time